Welcome all to Dull Edge Technologies. Today I'll be showing off a thrust vector control mount for quadcopters. So right now this is just in a proof of concept stage. All the electronics are to be tightened up and look nice. But let's quickly cover even what the point of this is. The idea is to let this motor gimbal so that it point in different directions while still maintaining thrust. The reason I want that is because I want an exceptionally stable craft, and I want to be able to stay still while tilting the entire aircraft. So a normal quadcopter can't do that. It will start flying off to the side because all of its thrust is pointing down. So I want to get around that. So this can be able to do it. Let me quickly demonstrate some of its motions. So this is one extreme, its motors, and then the other extreme. Go ahead and reset. Then, of course, we can do that while the fan is spinning. And that's the basics of it. Okay, let's talk about why you might want thrust vector control on your hovercraft. So the most common use case is in a tricopter, which has to have thrust vector control, in which the aircraft only has 3 propellers, and it would look something like so, as opposed to a more common quadcopter. The reason quadcopters are more common is because they're mechanically simpler and just a lot easier to work with, but they have inferior yaw control. So the reason a tricopter has to have thrust vector control is because the propellers have to spin in a direction. So let's say this one is spinning clockwise, right? As you try and spin that up, right, as you apply the force to make it spin clockwise, the entire aircraft would experience a force trying to spin counterclockwise, right? Pretty much like, think if you're sitting in a chair and you try to spin, you can't start spinning unless you push off the floor. Unfortunately, the floor is an aircraft. So to cancel that out, we can, in a quadcopter, we'll just spin a rotor the opposite direction, like so. And then we might as well go ahead and the others. So you have 2 going clockwise and 2 going counterclockwise. But in a tricopter, you can't do that because 2 of them have to go one way and 1 has to go, and optimally, as in to minimize the yaw torque, you would then have 1 go the other direction, right? And this would have as little net force as possible, but it would still have a net force going counterclockwise, because this one and this one will cancel each other out. Nice, we don't have to worry about those anymore. But then this one is still spinning clockwise, so the entire aircraft tries to go counterclockwise, and that doesn't work. So what you can do to fix that is, besides pointing all 3 of your thrusters straight up, you tilt one to the side, perpendicular to the center of mass. And by doing this, you can then rotate the entire aircraft. And it grants you superior yaw control compared to other copters. And then something else you can do, if all of your engines have thrust vector control, is you can then tilt the entire aircraft. So let's say this is your quadcopter, right? So normally, to go forwards, you tilt the entire thing and you go forwards. But if you have thrust vector control, you can just point the engines forwards and keep the bed level and go back and forth. Or you can do the opposite. You can tilt the bed, keep the engines straight up, and you then stay flat. And that is the primary reason I'm doing it.